Hello, my name is Nathan, and welcome to my tutorial on Sid Meier's Civilization 5. Today, I'd like to show you a quick demonstration of this game and tell you about the benefits of how it can be used in an educational setting such as a classroom. First, we'll start by choosing single player and setting up a quick game. As you can see here, there are many nations that you can choose from. Each nation has their own strengths and weaknesses. We'll select Rome. In this setup area here, and also in the advanced setup, you can customize your world and also who you play against. Here are the other nations that you will be facing. You can reduce the amount. City-states are single cities that act as a state as well. They don't expand much, but they're quite a challenge. You can either befriend them, leave them alone, or attack them and take them over. Let's maybe make 8. In terms of map type, I like to have islands. That way it causes naval exploration. So we're going to leave it on small continents. You can have a large or small map size, etc., etc. We're going to leave this as it is and start a new game. As this comes up and he tells us a short story, I'll explain some of the things that you can use this for in a classroom. For example, the curricular expectations that you're supposed to be teaching. This is sort of a geography history based game, but there's also a lot of politics, religion, and science involved as well. In fact, the whole game is based off of human history. So they've done a really good job in sort of encapsulating all those elements into a single game. Now, like I said before, each nation has their own strengths and weaknesses. For example, the Romans, they get a ballista, which is a siege weapon for warfare in the ancient era, and also legions, which are another ancient era unit. Every time you start a game, you begin with settler unit and warrior unit. The settlers are used to make a city, and you want to base your city around natural resources that are going to benefit you in the future. Here we have an advisor, and there's several different types, and they can help you out through the game. There's a foreign advisor, the former one was the economic advisor. So here, if we look, we're situated on a hill. We can move them elsewhere, but this hill is good for defensive purposes. We're also next to the ocean. As you can see here, sort of covered up by the fog of war, are oysters and pearls. We also have another thing of pearls here, which are luxury resources. Dyes up here are luxury resources. And then these sheep, cows, and deer are going to help us with regular resources, specifically food. Let's actually build the city here because this is an excellent spot. So we'll ask them to found a city, which is our capital, Rome. And then it prompts us to have the warriors go do something. In this case, we're going to have them explore. The controls are very simple. You can select items with the left button, and then you can click and drag, or you can simply click with the right click, and they will move if they have enough movement points. So, down here is where it prompts us for our actions. We also have a mini-map, and up here are our menus. So this says we have to choose a production for Rome. We select it, Rome's menu comes up, and we have units to build, or we can have a building. For this case, I suggest we build a monument, which will help us develop culture. Now, on the subject of culture, you can win the game through several different ways. If we look at this menu here, culture is used to develop policies. Money is used to buy things. Science is used to develop new technology. And happiness basically keeps production going and the civilization moving forward. As we develop culture points, which is what this map tree is here, you can sort of guide your civilization to different goals. You could focus on honor, which would be sort of a warfare-based society, liberty, which improves buildings and construction. Tradition focuses on growth, and then later on you can choose between two. For example, here you could be a pious society or a rational society. You can't have both, so you'd have to make a decision. Later on, there's order, autocracy, freedom. You can only choose one of the three. Another way to win is through a science-based victory. Now here it's prompting us to choose research. At the beginning, there's very basic technology. This guy's gonna help us out here. We have pottery, animal husbandry, archery, and mining to choose from. At the beginning, because we've got so many sources of animals around us, we might want to choose animal husbandry. But if we're not sure, we can open the technology tree up. And this sort of shows us the progress that we can make. So if we were to do animal husbandry, next it would offer us trapping, which is further animal resources, and it would also give us the wheel. From the wheel we can develop mathematics, from mathematics we can develop currency and engineering, so on and so forth. It's actually quite an extensive range of technology, which is interesting and useful in the classroom. And here at the top you can see that we can go from the classical era to medieval to the Renaissance and all the way into the industrial, modern, and future eras. By developing all the technology and then doing future techs, eventually sending a spaceship to the nearest star, which is Alpha Centauri, you can win the game through technology. So this is just a brief introduction to the game. We're going to move on to how this can be used in the classroom. So from our menu, we have a game that's been prepared previously. And this game we were using England and Queen Elizabeth as the leader, but we changed the names to more Canadian setting. So we have two cities, Windsor and Toronto, and here is a list, a to-do list that we've prepared for a potential class. We have expansion, production, technology, diplomacy, and defense. It's a little out of focus there. Okay. And what we can do is use this as a reward for the students' good behavior. It could be used as a lesson in terms of geography or history or even science. You can pull it up, show the class something, demonstrate something, and then put it away. It could be used in a special education setting. There's actually a large amount of uses and applications for this game or program. So, we zoom out a bit, we can get an idea of the land that we own here. And by land that we own, I mean the land that's under our sphere of influence. This red denotes that. We have two cities. Our capital city is Windsor, and then we have Toronto. Windsor is quite heavily populated with 17 population and 9. What you can do with the population is have the people work in various areas around the city. We'll take a look at this, citizen management. So as you can see, we have citizens working in these areas so that they bring in certain types of resources. Food, gold, production, and also science is brought in, but that doesn't show up here. So, to go through our list, let's look at the beginning here. We have expansion, build a city and name it. We'll need settlers for that. Connect to the empire, improve resources. Also, we can purchase a university in Toronto with the money that we have. We have to build a wonder. You can use great engineers to do that. They're so great, in fact, that they can do it almost immediately. We could also purchase a boat if we have the required technology. Speaking of technology, we have to research a new technology. And here again, we have a great scientist, I believe, in Toronto, that can be used to instantly achieve something like that. So let's work on that for now. And a suggestion that I have is actually designating specific students, maybe on a rotating basis or on a merit-based system, to have certain roles. For example, a group of students could be your military units. Another group of students could be your domestic units, which are workers here. They're sort of the backbone of your civilization. Another student or group of students could be a mayor for each city. So when it comes to making decisions about what to do next, we have to ask them. And then based on their decision, if they are sort of despotic or tyrannical, we have to do whatever they say. But if our society is more democratic, perhaps whatever they decide on, we then put to a vote for the students across the whole class, and then majority rules there. So let's get on and start with our list of things to do. So here at the bottom, it's prompting us to choose production. And since Windsor isn't producing anything here, that's what city it's for. Now, before we actually choose this, thinking back to our to-do list, it says that we want to research a new technology, we want to build a wonder, possibly even build a boat. So let's actually take a look at our technology first. Up here, right now we're currently researching steel to build longsword. Well, that will give us longswordsman units. But we also have this great engineer. It's in fact Albert Einstein, who's living in Canada, which is quite interesting. As you can see, this isn't very historical. Canada's continent doesn't look like this. That's because we've produced a custom-based game. That's also why Windsor built the pyramids and the Great Wall of China. So it doesn't have to be fact. You can design it that way, but for the sake of, say, policy building or thinking about diplomacy, military strategy, geography, historical significance of things, we've just decided on this style of game. So we select Albert Einstein, and we're going to use a special power, which is discover a technology. He's now gone, and we'll be able to choose a certain type of technology here. It's a free technology. We could get the compass, physics, steel, or acoustics. Now, acoustics will give us the chance to build the Opera House, which is a wonder, Hermitage, Sistine Chapel, and the Kremlin. I think we're going to go with this. Of course, you could put it up to vote for your students, but for the sake of us not having students here, I've decided we'll go with acoustics. If for some reason you didn't know what the Opera House was, you can go up to this very useful help menu, and what this has is basically, it says it's a civilopedia. So it's an encyclopedia of items in the game, whether it's units, technologies, buildings, great people that have appeared in history, and it's an excellent resource for touching on student curiosity, expanding on learning moments, or just simply researching something that they don't know about. So let's look in the Opera House. I can just put opera, probably is fine. And it's not. Oh, Sydney Opera House, there it is. So it pulls it up and it tells us what, if we build it, what it would give us. There's a special quote, those who lose dreaming are lost. Tells you some of the important items that you need to build it, and then also a little bit of the history. So this is a very useful tool. Getting on to what we need to address here, it prompted us to deal with these archers here. Now these are English longbowmen, so they have a special range of 3 squares as opposed to a normal range for archers of 2 squares, making them a very effective unit. These are barbarians here, and if we don't check their advance, they'll eventually reach our territory. They could harass our people, kill things, do some damage. So we obviously want to protect our interests. This special unit is a general. They can attack or defend. However, when they're based near other units, they give them bonuses for attack and defense. So we want to move the general there, and then we select our ranged attack, and we can see that these barbarians are actually within range. And down here, it sort of gives us an idea of how this battle is going to turn out. As you can see here, it's near a great general, so we have a 20% bonus to attack. I think we're going to win. So let's select it. We'll take a look. Yes, as painful as it looks, it seems like it was necessary to be done. Right. So, we researched acoustics, which now allows us to build some of those new units. Sorry, not units, but wonders. So here we have our list of units, our list of buildings, and then further down is our list of wonders. If we build the Sistine Chapel, it will give us 25% culture in all of our cities, which is actually quite useful. More useful, I think, than having the Kremlin, which will give us defensive buildings, a bonus to defensive buildings, and the Forbidden Palace. So this is something you have to decide on as a class, or perhaps the mayor of the city, or whoever the king or queen is of our nation. In this case, I think we should go with the Sistine Chapel. So we're going to select that, but we're also going to use our great engineer to quickly build it. Instead of waiting 10 turns, we now have to wait 1 turn. Another unit we had prepared is a settler. And as we wanted to before, on the list, it says build a city and name it. When building a city, it's important to decide, as we saw in the brief tutorial earlier, where to build it. Over here is a special area, and then down in this corner here, it says, I believe I'm pronouncing it right, Cerro de Potosi. I'm not exactly sure what that is, so let's take a look at the Civilopedia again. Cerro. Here it is. It's actually located in southern Bolivia, and it was the source of nearly all the silver mined by the Spanish during their imperial days. It's quite interesting. And if we build a city near it, and the city's sphere of influence encompasses this mountain, we'll get 10 gold per turn, which is actually a huge amount. So it's important for us to settle these settlers near this place so that we get the benefit of it. I also know that settling a city in any place will grant us 3 squares in all directions. So when settling, we want to take into account all the resources. The fish down here, the dyes over here, and the sheep up here. In order for us to reach the sheep, 1, 2, 3, our city would have to be on here. If it's here, then the sheep are 3 spaces away. 1, 2, 3. So I think that it's best to have our people settle here. Again, you could put this to the class and they can decide for themselves. Maybe they want to settle a little closer to home so that they're not so far away. So on the next turn, they'll be able to move. And in the meantime, we want to get these workers building a road. There's already a road that's been prepared going from Windsor and Toronto all the way out here, because we knew we were going to build a city, but we need to complete that road, which would effectively link it to the rest of the empire, and resources can be shared that way. So then we're going to move here, construct a road. These workers are waiting here until the sphere of influence extends, and then we can build a plantation here over the dyes. So we'll just ask them to wait. And now, there's nothing left to do. We can select next turn. While the next turn happens, it lets the other teams process their turns. And as you can see, we've been contacted by the Romans. This is the first contact. Apparently their unit moved into our territory and wanted to talk to us. Now, it says here that he's friendly, so we don't have to worry too much. And our options are over here. We can immediately declare war. We can try to trade, demand things, discuss. Maybe they know other people that we would like to get into contact with. But if we think back to our list of things to do under diplomacy, we're to establish contact with another civilization, which we just did, and we either make a decision to trade or declare war. Again, we can put it up to the class and let them decide, but I suggest we trade. And in this case, we look at our luxury resources. They have gems, ivories, furs, and spices, and we only have silver in abundance. If we give away our gold, we won't have any for ourselves. So at this point, we can also ask the class, what is it that you desire as the citizens of our nation? I'm assuming that they'll probably want gems, so let's try this and propose it. He likes it, and we now have a trade that will last for 30 turns, and that's about it. So, on that note, actually the end of our turn happened. Shows us a little clip. We've built the Sistine Chapel, which will grant us 25% culture in all cities. Since we've increased our culture, our sphere of influence has expanded, which means these workers can now build a plantation. These settlers can build a city. Because we traded with the Romans, we received gems, and now it says over here that Windsor and Toronto have entered a We Love the King Day. So our city growth is increasing as well. So these are just a short example of how this can be used in the classroom as either sort of a treat or for curriculum, because there's many opportunities to talk about history, technology, science, politics, religion, natural resources, city planning, human expansion. The list goes on. But this is an excellent game to use in a variety of ways, and I hope you enjoyed the presentation. Thank you for your time, and take care.